someone handed you their heart, would you hold it, drop it, or ghost? Do you actually open up? Or do you just trauma dump once a year and call it a connection? Be honest. When was the last time you felt something and didn't shove it down with a snack, a scroll, or a sarcastic joke? We're gonna cut right to the chase here. Are you emotionally available? Or are you incredibly skilled at pretending that you don't care? Emotional availability. It might sound like a therapy buzzword that your ex threw at you during a breakup, but it is actually about showing up for your own feelings, first and foremost, and for the people that you claim to care about. It's not just about letting yourself cry during Pixar movies. It's about letting other people see your actual feelings in real life. In other words, can you feel your feelings? Can you name them, share them, and stay connected when shit gets real? If you've ever shut down mid-heart to heart, if you've ever ghosted someone who got a little too close, or you hit him with an "I'm fine" when you were absolutely not fine, you might be a little emotionally unavailable. And hey, there's no shame there, okay? Emotional armor. It's just an old survival skill dressed in designer avoidance. But I just want you to know, as someone who really cares about you, that armor that you once wore, it's very pretty, it's nice, it's shiny, it's industrial. It might be responsible for blocking you from any future connections. Because here's the truth. People who struggle with emotional availability, they often dodge vulnerability like it's a scam call. They're quick to shut down, they change the subject, or they build a fortress out of jokes and deflection. But awareness, as always, is the first step toward dropping the act and actually showing up for yourself and for the people who are trying to love you. So, how do you really rate? Let's find out with this emotional availability test. On this woodboard, that's you and that's me. We'll go through 5 rounds that dig into the core of how you feel, express, and show up or don't. After you hear each statement, you're going to rate how much it sounds like you on a scale between 1 and 5. 1 means you strongly disagree. 2, you disagree. 3 is neutral. 4, you agree. And 5, you strongly agree. Trust your gut. There are no right or wrong answers, just honest ones. Your answers will reveal which parts of you are wide open and which might still be behind velvet ropes with a do not disturb sign. And just so we're clear, this is not a formal psychological test. It's a fun check-in, and depending on your mood, your answers might even shift. Totally normal. Humans are very moody, but you're still doing great. Well, this is a relaxing experience, and you can just listen and answer. If you want to know your score at the end, I encourage you to write down your answers and number each round and statement, because you will need them later. I will guide you through that when we get there. So, let's begin with round 1. We are now starting round 1. Round 1, statement 1. And statement 1 is: you often sense when something's off emotionally, but you can't figure out what it is. Remember, you're rating this on a scale between 1 and 5. 1 meaning you strongly disagree. 2, you disagree. 3 is neutral. 4 means you agree. And 5, you strongly answering each statement honestly based on how you generally feel or behave. So how would you rank that statement? You often sense when something is off emotionally, but you can't figure out what it is. How would you rate that? Thank you. Statement number 2. You struggle to name your own emotions with words like angry, hurt, or lonely. Again, 1, you strongly disagree. 5, you strongly agree. Statement 3. You usually suppress your emotions until they boil over unexpectedly. 1, strongly disagree. 5, strongly agree. Number 4. When people ask how you're doing, you say, "I'm fine," by default, even when you're not. Number 5. You can go for days or weeks feeling numb or indifferent without noticing it. Number 6. You avoid thinking about your feelings because it feels messy and uncomfortable. Number 7. People close to you sometimes say you seem distant, closed off, or hard to read. Number 8. Even when something important happens, you take a long time to feel happy or sad about it. Number 9. You rely on others to guess how you feel instead of checking in with yourself. Number 10. You find it easier to talk about facts or events than to talk about how those events made you feel. And that marks the end of round 1. We are now ending round 1 and entering round 2. There are 10 questions in round 2. To make it easier to track, I will pick up where we left off, so this will be considered statement 11. So round 2, statement number 11. And statement number 11 is, you find it hard to say things like, "I'm sad," or "I'm proud of myself," without cringing. Remember to answer quickly and instinctively, with 1 meaning you strongly disagree, 2, you disagree, 3, neutral, 4, you agree, and 5, you strongly agree. So how would you rank that statement? You find it hard to say things like, "I'm sad," or "I'm proud of myself," without cringing. Okay. Statement number 12. When something bothers you, you tend to stay quiet rather than speak up. Statement number 13. You rarely ask for emotional support, even when you really need it. Number 14. You often laugh it off or make a joke instead of admitting when you're actually upset. Number 15. Saying, "I'm sorry," or admitting you were wrong feels vulnerable and difficult. Number 16. You keep quiet when someone hurts your feelings, rather than risk conflict or discomfort. Number 17. You struggle to express affection or appreciation even toward people you genuinely care about. Number 18. You hold back your feelings because you're afraid of upsetting or burdening others. Number 19. Deep emotional conversations make you uncomfortable, even when the timing feels right. Number 20. You'd rather do something nice for someone than say something heartfelt. And that marks the end of round 2. We are now ending round 2. And starting round 3. We are now in round 3. There are 10 questions in round 3, and I'm picking up where we left off. So this will be considered statement number 21. Round 3, statement number 21. And statement number 21 is, when someone shares something personal, you find it hard to stay fully present or engaged. How would you rank that statement about yourself? Answering each statement based on how you generally behave. 1 meaning you strongly disagree. 5 you strongly agree. Statement number 22. You rarely pick up on subtle emotional cues, like tone of voice, body language, or energy shifts. Statement number 23. You ask, "How are you?" out of habit, not because you actually want a real answer. Number 24. You struggle to offer comfort or support when someone is visibly upset. Number 25. You tend to avoid conversations that get emotionally heavy or vulnerable. Number 26. You often zone out, scroll, or mentally leave the room during emotional talks. Number 27. You rarely remember details about people's lives unless they remind you directly. Number 28. When someone's upset, your instinct is to tell them to move on or toughen up. Number 29. You don't feel much guilt when you miss someone's emotional needs. It's not your job to manage them. Number 30. If you think you may have hurt someone's feelings, you usually wait for them to bring it up instead of checking in. And that marks the end of round 3. We are now ending round 3. And entering round 4. We are now starting round 4. There are 10 questions in round 4, and this will be considered statement number 31. Round 4, statement 31. And statement 31 is, you avoid talking about fears or past wounds, even with people you trust. Statement number 32. You rarely share your personal goals or dreams because it feels too vulnerable. Statement number 33. When someone tries to have a deep or serious conversation, you deflect with humor or change the subject. Number 34. You hold back affection unless you're 100% certain it's safe or you won't be rejected. Number 35. You avoid relationship labels or emotional commitments to protect yourself. Number 36. You keep significant parts of your life private, even from people you're close to. Number 37. You prioritize staying emotionally self-sufficient over risking intimacy or closeness. Number 38. It's hard for you to be emotionally transparent, even with people who have earned your trust. Number 39. You struggle to fully believe someone genuinely cares about you, even if they show it. Number 40. You find it uncomfortable to let others see the real, unfiltered version of you. And that is the end of round 4. We are now ending round 4 and entering round 5. There are 10 questions in round 5. This will be considered statement 41. Round 5, statement 41. And statement 41 is, when you're stressed or upset, you tend to ignore it rather than use any coping tools. Statement number 42. When you feel anxious or angry, calming down feels nearly impossible in the moment. Statement number 43. You isolate or emotionally shut down when you're overwhelmed. Number 44. You often skip the things that recharge you, like sleep, movement, hobbies, because you're too busy. Number 45. When you feel big emotions, you sometimes react impulsively, like yelling, binging, spending money. Number 46. You find it hard to ask for help, even when you really need it. Number 47. You use quick fixes like junk food, scrolling, substances, overworking to avoid feeling stressed. Number 48. You say yes to things, even when you're already running on fumes. Number 49. You struggle to maintain routines that keep you balanced, like sleeping, eating food, or having downtime. Number 50. When you get frustrated or snappy, you're hit with guilt or shame and try to immediately fix it. And that marks the end of our emotional availability test. Thank you so much for being open and honest with yourself. In order to calculate your score, you need to add up the numbers you had per round. Remember, there were 5 total rounds, and each of those rounds represented a different subcategory of emotional availability. So let's start with the first round. I'll give you a moment to add your first round up. You should be adding 10 numbers together 10 and 17, then this area is a strength for you. If you scored between 18 and 34 in any category, you need to pay more attention to that area. And if you scored between 35 and 50 in any category, you need to make that area a priority for your personal development. Do you have your score for your first round? Great. The first round represented emotional self-awareness. The statements measured how in tune you are with your own feelings and how well you can read your own emotional weather forecast. Are you emotionally fluent, or are your feelings stuck on Do Not Disturb? And let's be real, so many of us were never taught how to feel. We learned how to cope, perform, distract, grind, avoid. Feeling was extra. It's messy, weak, too much. So if you scored between 10 to 17 here, then you are actually emotionally online. You probably journal or check in with yourself, and you can identify and name and label what you feel. That's very rare and powerful. Congratulations. If you scored between 18 and 34, you're semi-available to yourself. Sometimes you tune in, sometimes you float away on autopilot. There's room to get a little more curious about what's really going on under the hood. If you scored between 35 and 50, you might be blacking out your feelings. You've learned to keep it moving, suppress the mess, and stay fine at all costs. But being numb is not the same as being okay. And avoiding your feelings doesn't mean that they disappear. They're just running the show from backstage, which means you're actually not really in control. So, what now? You don't have to become a poet overnight. You just need to pause long enough to ask, what am I feeling right now? Where do I feel it in my body? What might be under this? What's the root of it? You don't need to decode your entire childhood in one sitting. You just have to keep track of your energy. That's it. No overanalysis, no shame spiral. Just gentle noticing. That's the muscle that you're building. Start talking to yourself like you're someone you actually care about. Start naming feelings like you're teaching your nervous system a new language, because you are. You could try things like, I'm not irritated, I'm just disappointed. Or, this isn't laziness, it's just burnout in disguise. Or even, I don't know this, but I feel it. And the truth that no one told you while you were growing up is that being emotionally self-aware does not make you soft. It makes you strong. It means that you see yourself and you don't go running. You don't numb out. You face what's real. And if this is all new for you, that is amazing, because you just cracked the door open. And trust me, once you step through, it's so much better on the other side. I promise. I've been there. I'm currently there some days. But once you enter, it's great, so keep going. You're not too sensitive. Your feelings are completely valid, no matter what they are. They're just trying to speak to you. You're learning how to hear them, so just keep going. Now, for the second round. Adding up the 10 numbers you had for the second round. The second round represented emotional expression. Whether or not you speak your emotions out loud to actual people in real time, instead of just hinting at them or memeing about them or expecting people to just read your mind. This is about letting the inside out. Whether that's asking for help, opening up when you're sad, or telling someone that you like them without breaking out in hives. If you scored between 10 and 17 here, You are expressive, emotionally articulate, and not afraid to use your voice. You ask for what you need. You share what's real, and it shows. You probably make people feel seen and safe just by being yourself. If you scored between 18 and 34, you have the tools to express yourself, but you may downplay, sugarcoat, or stay quiet when it counts. If you scored between 35 and 50, you've learned to keep it all inside. Whether that stems from childhood, traumatic relationships, or a general sense of self-defense, your silence began as a form of protection. And now it might be responsible for keeping you lonely, or resentful, or emotionally constipated. So, let's gently shift that, okay? This is how you can start saying how you feel without self-imploding. Try one real sentence a day. That's it. I'm tired. That annoyed me. I missed you. Start with low-stakes truths and then build up from there. Also, use I statements to claim your experience instead of blaming someone else. It's not, you made me feel overwhelmed, or you did this, you did that. It's, I felt overwhelmed when, or I felt taken advantage of, because that's the real magic. And if your throat closes up when you go to do that, write it all out first, or leave yourself voice memos. Just let the feelings get out somewhere before they go sideways. And most importantly, keep reminding yourself that it's not selfish to be emotionally honest. That's connection. It's leadership. It's intimacy. You don't have to spill your guts to everyone. No, don't do that. But you do deserve to be understood. And that starts with opening up, even just a little bit. Adding up the 10 numbers you had for the third round now. The third round is about empathy and connection. This round reveals whether you tune into other people's feelings and needs, or mentally hit the skip button the second emotions enter the chat. Do you pick up on the energetic shift when someone's feeling off? Do you care enough to ask? Or are you out here narrating your own movie while someone else is off spiraling in the background? If you scored between 10 and 17, you're emotionally intuitive and you show up. People probably come to you because you listen and understand them. You don't just respond. You read the room like a book, and you make others feel safe just by being present. That is a gift. If you scored between 18 and 34, pay attention. You've got the capacity to care, it's there. But maybe you get distracted, overwhelmed, or you forget to check in. Empathy isn't missing. It just needs to be more intentional. If you scored between 35 and 50, let's be honest, you might be more in your own world than you realize. Emotions might make you squirm, or you just never learned how to connect beyond the surface. But heads up, not tuning into other people's feelings is not low drama. It's low relational awareness. And over time, that's going to cost you real connection. Because when you don't notice or respond to other people's emotions, it creates distance. And that distance is not always loud and dramatic. Sometimes it's subtle and quiet and slow. But it adds up because people start feeling unseen even when you're physically present. Your partner might just stop sharing. Your friends might stop reaching out. And you might start wondering why no one ever really gets you, without realizing that you're not really getting them either. Because empathy is the bridge. And without empathy, real intimacy doesn't happen. People want to be felt. care, not that you're around. So if you are feeling disconnected from others, or if people told you they don't feel heard, this might be the missing link. How can you build your empathy muscle without becoming a therapist? Start with presence. When someone talks, put your phone down. Nod. Make eye contact. Listen like you mean it. Then say something reflective like, "That sounds really frustrating. Wow, I can imagine that hurt." No advice, no fixing, just witnessing them. And asking more open questions like, "How did that feel? What do you need right now?" Those open the door without pressure. You can also try emotional mirroring. Imagine how you would feel in their shoes. Not to hijack the convo, but to actually tap in. And real talk. The more you let yourself feel your own stuff, the easier it gets to feel others. So if this sounds hard, that's okay. You just have to start with yourself. And then you offer what you're learning outward. Empathy is about depth, awareness, and it's something that really matters most between you and the people you care about. Totaling the fourth round now. The fourth round represented intimacy and vulnerability, or how comfortable you are being close and real with others. Not performative, not filtered, real. Can people actually access your inner world, or do you give off just enough to look open while keeping the door locked from the inside? If you scored between 10 and 17 here, you're comfortable being seen. Flaws, feelings, awkward pauses, and all. You let people in, not because it's easy, but because you know that connection is worth the risk. That is intimacy. Keep choosing it. If you scored between 18 and 34, pay attention because you dip in and out. Sometimes you share, sometimes you retreat. It's not that you can't be vulnerable, it's just complicated. There's trust stuff, timing stuff, control stuff. Totally human, but there's room to stretch. If you scored between 35 and 50, you've got that emotional vault on lockdown. You value independence, self-protection, and keeping your business to yourself. And honestly, that probably served you once. But now, it might be cutting you off from the kind of closeness that you quietly crave. Because you can't receive real love if you're not showing up as the real you. People cannot connect to a mask. They can admire it, they can project onto it, they can even be charmed by it, but you've got to let people in if you want to feel safe and understood. How do you do that without emotionally face-planting? Start small. Vulnerability doesn't mean trauma dumping or turning your heart inside out on a first date. It means saying, "I had a rough day," instead of, "It's whatever," or "I actually care about this," instead of playing it cool. You can test out low-stakes honesty with someone that you consider safe. Start by telling them, "This is hard for me to say," or "I trust you with." Even just admitting that you're nervous to share, that's vulnerability in action. And notice who earns this access to you, because being vulnerable doesn't mean being open with everyone. It's about being open with the right people. Boundaries and intimacy are best friends. And most of all, remind yourself that you're safe now. The parts of you that needed that armor, they did their job. You don't have to wear that weight forever. The moment that you stop hiding, people stop loving the version of you that you think they want, and they start loving who you actually are. And now for the fifth round. Totaling the the 5th round up, which represented emotional regulation and self-care. Do you hold yourself down when life gets real? Or do you spiral into isolation, snacks, and substances? If you scored between 10 and 17 here, you are equipped with emotional tools, and you use them. You feel things early, respond consciously, and probably even cancel plans when your body says no. You regulate instead of react. You care for yourself like it's a priority, not an afterthought. If you scored between 18 and 34, you have good moments and messy ones. Sometimes you self-soothe, sometimes you self-destruct. You're not a disaster, but you do get derailed when stress hits. You're right on the edge of mastery here. Small shifts will go a long way. If you scored between 35 and 50, you tend to let your emotions run the show. You might react fast, numb out, push through, or crash hard. And then the guilt shows up, and it asks, why didn't you just handle that better? Does this sound familiar? It doesn't make you broken. It means you're unpracticed, and that can change. When you don't regulate, your body starts doing the work that your brain refuses to. Cue the burnout, the blow-ups, the breakdowns. You might lash out, shut down, sabotage your goals, or overcommit until you resent everyone, including yourself. Unregulated emotions don't just pass, they pile up. And when you don't know how to soothe or reset, everything starts to feel like too much, which makes life so much harder than it needs to be. Here's how you can start showing up for yourself like you matter. Don't skip the boring stuff. Sleep, hydration, food, exercise. It's foundational. It literally rewires your mood. Then, when you feel the urge to snap or spiral or sabotage, you can mindfully pause and do something neutral. Sit with it for 90 seconds. Stretch. Let the heat pass before you act. Let yourself set micro boundaries. Say, I need 5 minutes, or I can't talk about this right now. Say no before your system shuts down. And if you can't do it alone, that is not weakness. That is wisdom. Therapy, support groups, even emotionally safe friendships can give you tools you didn't know you needed. Emotional regulation isn't about being calm all the time. It's about being in communion with your emotions. Responding, not reacting. It's a daily practice. It's a choice to treat yourself like you're responsible for being cared for, and you are. You made it. That wasn't nothing. You just got brutally honest, and you looked at your emotional patterns on purpose. That deserves to be acknowledged and celebrated, not just by me, but by you. We. Because being emotionally available, it's not about being perfect. It's not about crying on cue or flawless communication. It's about being present for yourself and showing up for the people who actually matter. Connection over control, curiosity over shame, truth over performance. Whatever just came up for you, thank it. That was your emotional system speaking directly to you. That's good. That means you're listening now. And the more you keep listening, the less chaos and the more clarity there will be. Your next chapter starts with telling the truth, especially to yourself. You're not too late. You're just arriving. So go gently, go honestly, and above all,